I hope that you are doing well. Thank you so much for joining me here today. We have a really fun project planned. We are going to make decorative trees out of bamboo skewers and old book pages. So let's take a look at all the things you'll need. You'll need some bamboo skewers. I have the 9-inch length skewers. They're relatively narrow. Something to make a base with. I'm going to use some air dry clay. Scissors. You can use decorative scissors if you want to, or the scissors that cut a decorative edge. You'll need a pen or a marker. Old book pages. These are 7 by 5 inches, or 5 by 7 inches, and a ruler. Let's get started by making the base of our tree. We're going to open up this air dry clay. I use a tongue depressor to grab out a handful, or you can just grab it with your hands. We're just going to roll it out. You can roll it out on the table. You can do it between your hands. I just like to get kind of a roundish sphere. But you need a flat bottom. So once I have it, I tap down on the bottom. I like to tap down on the top too if you want. You can round off the edges. Don't worry if it doesn't come out flat on the top. Mine always comes out a little weird. And what I mean by that is that it just comes out a little wobbly. So now, let's grab one of those skewers, cut off about 1 inch of it, put it in the scissors, kind of rotate it, and then just cut. So when it's the height that you want it, just stick it right in the top of your clay. I'm going to squeeze it a little because it had a little gap, and then just set that aside to dry. If you don't have time to let it dry, that's okay. Just be careful when you're piercing the paper on. So I'm going to set that aside. Now we need to cut out our squares of paper, and you need 9 squares of each size, and you're going to go from 4 inches down to 1 inch, but you're going to cut them in decreasing amounts by 1/4 inch. That's a very convoluted way of saying that we're going to cut out 9 4-inch squares, set them aside together. Then we're going to cut out 9 3 3/4 inch squares, then 9 3 1/2, 9 3 1/4 inch, 9 3-inch squares, 2 3/4 inch squares, 2 1/2, 2 1/4, 2 inch, 1 3/4, 1 1/2, 1 1/4, and 1 inch. So I've made templates here so I can cut the templates out and then use that to trace on the paper and cut. If you have a paper cutter, that makes it way easier, but either way works. So if you have the paper cutter, then you can just line them up at 4 inches. Line this side at 4 inches. And there are your 4-inch squares. And I do them in 2 groups with this paper cutter because it's not the sturdiest. So I would do a group of 5 and then a group of 4. If you are doing it with the templates from the cardstock or cardboard, you can cut it of cardstock or cardboard, then you would just cut out these squares, lay them on top of the paper, draw around it, and cut. Either way works great. I have all of mine cut out, so they're in piles by size. All 9 of them are there. I want to be able to work as efficiently as possible. So I've laid them out so the 4-inch are here, and then we're going downwards. So 3 3/4, 3 1/2, 3 3 1/4, 3" 2 3/4, 2 1/2, 2 1/4, 2" 1 3/4, 1 1/2, 1 1/4, and 1". And then you're going to grab your prepared bamboo skewer and base. Okay, I rearranged a little bit to help you see what's going on better. So I just moved the 4" and the 3 3/4" a little bit apart from one another so you can see what's going on. So you're going to grab the first of your 4" pieces and just skewer it onto your bamboo skewer. And then the next one, and I try to find about the middle of the paper. And when you put them on, you want to have them have the corners at opposite angles. So like that, just to give it some interest. Then so the bottom one I did square. The next one I did diamond, so this one I'm going to do square again. And when I did the trial of this, I tried just offsetting it a little bit, and it didn't really look as good. But if you can do it and get it to look better, go for it. Some people, when they do this, they put in cardboard separators. I don't happen to think you need to do that. I think you can just space it as you work. So you'll see I've got very little spacing in there. You can always adjust the spacing between if you need to add more spacing or take some of the spacing out. So, and actually what I did last time I made one is when I got up higher, if the spacing lower was off, I just slid a ruler in there. I just slid a ruler in there and adjusted with the ruler. And basically, this is just what we're doing, is putting on all these squares that we made. So that's all 9 of the 4" ones. So I'm moving to the 3 3/4" ones now. And if you need help finding the center so you get it in the right place, you can just fold it. So I know I need to be on that line. Fold it again. So I want to go through the U probably. And this doesn't have to be perfect. Trees are not perfect. Part of the beauty of nature is the imperfection of it. So if you're worried about having taken apart a book or taking apart a book to make these, we're using the books that are older and yellowed. Actually, these are scrap pages from the book journals we made this summer here at the library, which I actually am planning to do a video on those sometime, because they are really fun. And I'm going to hold that a little bit so you can see that we're building our tree. That was all 9 of the 3 3/4". So now we're going to move on to the 3 1/2". And if you want to try to punch 2 of those on at a time, or skewer 2 of those at a time, and then just adjust them after they get on, you can do that as well. So just to show you a little bit of what I was talking about before, my gaps are getting a little bigger here, so I'm just gonna use the ruler to help make those gaps smaller. And you don't want to rush this because you don't want to have your spacing be off. So we have 3 of the sizes on already. Go on to the next one. And I find this oddly satisfying, just skewering them and putting them on. So, a couple different things you could do with this project. If you wanted, you could use the decorative edge scissors, and that'll give it a decorative edge there, and that'll give a little different texture to your tree. I just went with the straight edges because I kind of like that look. I'm gonna keep going. I'll be back. Alright, so I have all the pages on there. I cut a star out of a couple other pages and used some sticky stuff in there. Glue dots. And there it is. I know it's really hard to see it with that different background. So let me just move this. I moved it over in front of the brown doors so you can get a better idea of what it looks like. And there is our tree. And it was very easy to make out of just some old book pages and a bamboo skewer and some clay. If you don't have the clay, you can just make the base out of a flat piece of cardboard and then poke a hole in the middle of the cardboard and hot glue it in there. So there is our paper page and bamboo skewer tree. I hope you'll give it a try. We'll be back very soon. We'll be talking about more books. We will also be doing more fun stuff. We will also be doing some more fun activities, so I hope you'll join me then. And until then, I hope that you enjoy all that you do and all that you read. And thank you.